and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we're looking at The Lost Expedition, a 1 to 5 player cooperative, albeit with a competitive variant, hand management game. Well, you guessed it, you get to manage your hands. But in those hands are cards, and those cards are going to represent the obstacles your adventurers are going to come across throughout the game. This also has elements of decision making. Yes, I'm saying decision making is a board game mechanic because if you make the wrong decision, that's sure going to be impactful. And it's probably going to mean your adventurers are going to be dying. So this is a game modelled after the search for the lost city of El Dorado. And you better hope that your search goes a lot better than those that you're following in the footsteps of. So let's see how this plays and whether this could be the next game for you. So the object of the game is for you to get from point A, your starting position as a group, to the lost city of El Dorado. And you're going to be doing that representing 3 adventurers. So no matter what the player count, you're still going to pick 3 adventurers, each with their differing areas of expertise. You're also going to start with a number of cards in your hand depending on the player count. Each adventurer is also going to start with 4 health, and you're as a group going to start with ammunition tokens and food tokens as well that you need to spend. So with the cards in each player's hand, starting with the expedition leader, in the morning hike you're going to be playing 2 in this example of the 4 cards you've got in your hand, and each of them represent challenges that you're going to have to overcome. So when a player picks and places a card into the communal area face up, and everyone has then played, in this example, 2 cards, you'll then rearrange all of the cards in ascending order depending on what cards were played. And that's the order in the morning session that you're going to be overcoming these challenges from left to right. So the game runs on a simple premise of either gaining or spending resources or gaining or spending expertise. So it's your adventurers that bring the expertise, and it's your native resources that you'll always have on tap that you'll be able to use as well throughout. So we're overcoming a challenge here, starting with the progress card. There are 3 different types of challenge on the cards that you'll find, and the ones with the red background mean that you have to pick one of these. You don't have to overcome all of these challenges. So here we can see that if we pick this one, it wants us to spend 1 navigation expertise. So we haven't collected any at this point, so anytime you need to do so, you can either take 1 health away from your adventure with that expertise, or 2 health from either of the others. But what you gain in return is progress. So that'll allow you to move your pawn to the next space, remembering your ultimate goal is to get to El Dorado. They all follow the same principles. So we've explained how you can use an expertise or spend an expertise, but you can also gain expertise. For example, over here with the black background camping icon. And when you select this one, you would need to spend 1 food, taking it from your supply, but then you gain this card, which represents that you've got 1 expertise that can be used in camping without the need to sacrifice any of Bessie's health when you need to spend a camping expertise in a later go. So yellow backgrounds are mandatory, so no matter how many are on a card, you have to encounter all of those. And here this scorpion makes you spend 1 camping icon, but there's a couple of new icons here that are outside of the normal, and this basically means you draw a card from the top of the deck and add it to the end. So it's going to add 1 more obstacle before you're able to complete this hike. But here this icon means that you can swap 2 cards that are further on down the trail, and you can do that in any order you want. Once you complete a row of cards and all of your adventurers are still alive, you then flip to the evening hike. And the difference between the morning and the evening is that you have to sequence the cards better, because starting with the expedition leader, they're going to place a card, but they're not going to be rearranged in ascending order of number. They are literally going to be sequenced from left to right first come, first serve. So again, at the end of an evening hike, you're going to pay food just like you do at the end of a morning hike, and that denotes the end of a round. You then pass the expedition leader token to the player to your left and basically rinse and repeat that process. So that's how this game plays. What did I think of it? So who is this for? Well, it's a light to medium weight game, and if you like the idea of overcoming thematic encounters and obstacles, but just simply using resource exchange, or you like a challenging card game but that's easy to get to the table, then there's probably something here for you. So you might want to consider this if you liked Friday, published by Rio Grande Games, or Unbroken, published by Altema Games. So the format is only a solo game, whilst this can be played solo, it's also cooperative, and adds some deck building elements, but it has that same sort of thematic encounters throughout. And the latter probably shares the most mechanical similarities. In terms of gameplay, well, there's a really well-rounded design on offer here, but one that at first I thought, well, is there much to provide a rich and rewarding gameplay experience on offer? I wasn't sure, but then you get it to the table, which is super easy. The rules are pretty straightforward, and you realise actually, you know what, the fun in this game is the challenge, working together, overcoming these obstacles as a team. So the main things I liked about it, well, there's a nice contrast in the morning and the evening sessions. Either way, you're going to have to sequence these cards appropriately, and very, very roughly, it does go from easy to hard in terms of difficulty levels by the cards that are numbered from 1 to 50 or whatever it is. But it's not as simple as number 10 is always easier than card number 40. It just depends on what resources you've got, what expertise you've got to hand, that might mean that those harder cards are actually easier for you at that given time. And then the fact when you move to the evening and you have to be sequencing that absolutely appropriately, while not breaking those rules set out for you in the rule book, in that you're only supposed to discuss the tactics about the cards that are face up in front of you. But it just gives that real brainstorming challenge, but a rewarding challenge, not one that's overly burdensome and requires you to suffer or indulge in analysis paralysis. Let's just play the game, feel your way through it, and the game does a good job of encouraging you to do that. So the competitive variant to this game is not my cup of tea. It's not the best, it's a little bit shoehorned in, but I'm certainly not going to be marking this game down for that. But if you're sick of being cooperative, you're sick of playing nicey with the other players around the table, then there is that nice competitive variant you can try. So in terms of the look and feel and theme of the game, well, it's an A-OK from me. Even the box I really liked, more opens like a book. All of the card art is really well done. It's just a shame in games like this that you aren't able to take the time to appreciate thematically what each card is supposed to represent, because it kind of, as you go on, you're just looking at the symbols, how you can overcome it. But what's presented here is well worth, and you get good bang for your buck. So with all that being said, Dice vs Cards are going to give a final score of 8 out of 10. This is one you might overlook, but provides a really, really rewarding experience once you get it to the table. So that's it from me. I'll see you next time.
What really happened to Percy and Jack Fawcett and Riley Rimmel out there in the jungles of Brazil? We'll never know.